Hello. I would like to start off by saying I apologize for wearing these sunglasses while I'm doing this. I have a very bad eye infection, and I don't think that you would be able to get through the 4 minutes of looking at my eye to do this. So I am not wearing these to be hip or show some sort of childhood myth. I am simply in a lot of pain, and it's not very pretty to look at. So I apologize for that. Now we'll begin. A childhood myth that has stuck with me and kind of shaped my life, left an influence on me, is the one that it takes gum 6 years to digest in your stomach. As a child, my mother would often, yell at me for swallowing gum, tell me that it's going to take 6 years to digest, it's going to cause me a lot of problems, and so on and so forth. I never gave it much thought, never really believed her, listened to her, anything else. At about the age of 12, I began having serious stomach problems, which for the first while I decided to hide from my parents because I was worried at that time that the gum was actually, in fact, stuck in my intestines and now causing all of these issues that I was having. So I went about a year without letting my parents know about these issues and hid it from them, stopped swallowing gum, and thankfully for me, in a way, I guess you could say, the issues continued happening. So I started to realize, even though it had gone a full 6 years, that perhaps this wasn't due to swallowing gum. Eventually, I had to have a lot of tests done on my stomach, so I spent the time worrying that perhaps this was not going to be a good idea because the doctors would go in and discover that my intestines were lined with chewing gum. However, that wasn't the case. I had all my tests done, and the chewing gum caused no issues, so it just caused a lot of panic for the first few years of my teen years of worrying that chewing gum had in fact lined my stomach. Going on from that, once I realized that my issue hadn't been due to chewing gum in my stomach, I started to have a thought that perhaps if that is the case, we could feed people around the world with chewing gum and have a gum full of nutrients that you could swallow that would take 6 years to digest, or even months or something else along those lines that could help countries in poverty that do not have food. So I'm always one, to this day, thinking of ways to supply water to foreign countries that are in need of water, even though there's plenty of places in America that need it as well. I'm not ignorant on that front. So I've often sat around many times in my adult life and wondered if that is a possibility. I'm not great with science. I'm not great with understanding how things work. I'm not an expert on solving world hunger issues, but it's always sat in the back of my head. Would it be possible to create a gum that we could swallow that could slowly release what the human body needs to sustain life and take 6 years to digest, or as I said, take 3 or 4 months to digest, even 2 weeks supply us with the nutrients we need, and so on and so forth. So for some reason, as my mother telling me that in my childhood, that gum takes 6 years in your stomach, and I'm sure plenty of your parents have told you the same, I've always had it in the back of my head, as I said, how could we possibly create something that could solve some of the world hunger problems and provide the world with a cure or a way to solve hunger, I suppose. I don't think it's necessarily shaped my adult life, but it has given me the thought that it's always been there, and it's always been in the back of my head as to how could we possibly create, as I've said, something to do this. From worrying in my childhood about it causing my health problems to today, I still have always had this myth in the back of my head of this chewing gum myth. And it's always just sat there. Even though I know it's not true now, it's been a thought on the negative end of my life where I worried that it caused health problems. And it's been a thought on the positive end of my life where I've thought, hey, maybe if this is true, we could find something good to find a benefit out of it. So I hope you enjoy that. I look forward to hearing all of yours, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you very much.